And that way you'll get different perspective, and as you can see, like the space sort of lends itself to having that open studio feel.
So basically we need like a bunch of cameras in here, total surveillance, just neighborhood watch. No, that would be really cool. This is not the No Jumper podcast yet, but this is
I got a jumper though, so that wouldn't work.
No, dude, I don't. So I'll just press record and but yeah, no, so that's a good idea actually, to have multiple camera angles. So right now, guys, this is low budget. We're out here recording it off the phone, and we're doing it. Today's the Day of the Dead, and I'm here with Ben.
Shouts out to the ancestors, everybody else that's not here. You know, Day of the Dead, Day of the Living. First day of a journey of a mile of, what is it? Journey of 10,000 steps? Journey of 10,000 miles starts with the first step.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm honestly like the most uncultured person that I've ever met. So all I know is Day of the Dead says in Spanish is Dia de los Muertos. And I know that Mexican people like skeletons. That's pretty much as far as I know about it. Full respect, by the way. I mean that with all due respect to the Mexican culture.
Yo, that culture is fly.
Yeah, no, they got it going
Straight
on.
up, like Mexican culture, and I've been there, so I'm not just speaking off of Google Images, but the culture, man, the colors, the fabric patterns, you know, the face painting, the
It's so spooky.
the puppets.
It's just so spooky.
Have you seen those big life-size puppets? I don't
Yes.
even know if they're called puppets, but they're
Yeah.
like life-size, beyond life-size puppets. Shouts out to Mexican culture,
Big time.
Guadalajara. Yeah.
Yeah, big family oriented.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
The food's great. They're
That-
just living it up.
Wow. I just thought of something, because the Dia de los Muertos is, for my limited understanding as a middle-aged vanilla person,
Shouts out.
shouts out to all the vanilla people. It's one of the flavors of the rainbow. Is all about honoring your ancestors. And in my own spiritual practice, I took a lot of inspiration from that. And we actually, at my mother's house, have what we call the ancestor wall. And it has all the pictures of all the different people that have impacted our lives, that have transitioned, that have passed away. And we light a candle every day. We give them a cup of coffee. We acknowledge them. So to be doing a podcast or a dialogue on this day is meaningful, in the sense that a lot of my spirituality and a lot of my growth has been based on honoring the dead, honoring the people in my life that have laid the foundation for me to be where I am today. So big respect for that culture, as well as the Ifa tradition of Western Africa. But I digress to just say that it's an interesting day to have a dialogue about where we are in life.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to start it. So if you can't tell, I'm looking outside. We have the fall leaves are beautiful. The neighborhood is finally getting more life to it. We just went through something pretty horrendous in this area, and there's people out now. Looks like we might even have some tourists coming back, and so we do want to celebrate life on the Day of the Dead, because I think a lot of things can be that sort of dichotomy: life, death, rebirth. Like, talk about both. And so it's just lovely, man. I'm here hanging out with my boy Ben. We're downstairs, got a different studio set up today, and just figured we rock it, kick it. But real quick, tell me about the Western Africa. What were you talking about? I don't know. I'm the most uncultured, again, person I've ever met in my life.
For now. For now, because you're also a New Yorker, so, there's more culture in New York than there is on the entire planet at times.
Thank you.
Respect. Shouts out to New Yorkers. You guys just totally do it.
But fuck the Yankees right now.
Yeah, you guys got to sort that out at some point. So there's a tradition that comes from West Africa is called Ifa, I-F-A. And I had the privilege and honor to be introduced to Ifa by a good childhood friend and his father, who's what's known as a Babalao, or a priest. Some people may call him a shaman. And through that tradition, one of the main focuses that I was taught, again, it's coming from a different lens and a beginning understanding, is honoring the ancestors, is a big part of it. So it ties similarly, from what I've seen, to a lot of the Mexican culture in Dia de los Muertos. And that's one of many aspects of that culture. It's also very much based on energetics, nature, spirits, and things of that nature.
Well, it sounds like Mexico and Africa, obviously, totally far apart, worlds apart. But in this world, we have so many different cultures and different names for things and different religions, but at the same time, we're all trying to accomplish the same shit. We all just want to be free and have peace, and all these words, be happy, spiritual, conscious. We all have the same goal. I mean, dude, I'm not going to recite scripture or whatever, but like Islam, Judaism, Christianity, they all wanted the same thing. Buddhism, they just have different names for it, right? And I'm going to probably start this earlier now, but I go right to Trevor Hall when I think of this. One of his quotes, truth is one, but goes by many names. Like, for example, I think Christianity, we call that salvation. Buddhism, we call that enlightenment. I don't know what they call it in Islam. You get the gist. Truth is one, but goes by many names. And so you have different cultures celebrating different things, but it all seems to come from the same source and the same goal at the end. So birth and death, it's all just circles, man. Swimming in circles. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. You can't knock Brother Trevor or Brother Mac for simplifying a very complex idea that we've created, right? Because I think that that's the grace and the gift of true poets, is to simplify what we have made so complex. Right?
Yeah, I think they were at different places. We're talking about Mac Miller and Trevor Hall. So, quick backstory on how this all got started. About a month and, about 5 weeks ago, we got demolished by Hurricane Helene. And I met Ben during that time. We had no running water, no cell service, no Wi-Fi for sure. We didn't lose power. A lot of people weren't as fortunate. A lot of people lost their houses, their lives. But we met during that time, and he looked out for me just by random acts of kindness, like a bowl of soup on a cold night, or burning some Palo Santo when I was feeling anxious. Shouts out to Heather, by the way, for the free yoga class. I have been conscious of my shoulders now. Like, I'm always like this because I'm anxious, and my forehead is always wrinkled because I'm just fucking. So every day now I'm just like conscious of that. So yeah, it was really cool to meet these guys, and it's just a great journey to be on with them. But we, so fast forward a little bit of time after the storm kind of passed, and we're all getting back to this normalcy. We started finding out that each other has similar interests on a deep level, like spirituality and meditation, and all those things. But then also, music, and so we bonded over these two artists, Mac and Trevor. The fact that Trevor has a 2009 cover is just insane. We both got to hear that at Salvage Station, which is no longer here anymore. It got blown away. But we were both there on that same night. We didn't know each other then, but special time for both of us. And I don't know, man. I think the universe kind of did its job and was like, hey, we're gonna show you guys each other, and here we are. You got any words on that?
Yeah. It's music, man. It's funny, like it's like the end of it's in the Tiny Desk, Mac Miller.
Fucking epic.
Highly
dude.
recommended for all those
damn
that
it.
have never heard and those that think they have. Go back to that one 123 million times, I guess.
So good.
But it's like he's like got this little riff where he's like, music, man, it's a beautiful thing, man. Music. And
The thing about music.
let me tell you about music.
So good.
Thundercat shots out on the Shakers, bro. Good looks. It's music. At the end of the day and the beginning of the morning, we have these things called universal languages, right? And at the truest sense of each religion, air quotes, is a universal language for principles that make us human, but also make us more than that. And the music, the resonance, the harmony that speaks to our minds, our hearts, our souls it's like an algorithm. It's like a personal algorithm. So then when you meet people that have that same algorithm, it's like, even like Jesus said, when two or more are gathered in my name, meaning like the name of God, which also I think for me, music is my God, or is my religion. I think Bob Marley has a song like that, or someone has a song about music being their religion. When you allow a universal language to make that connection between two patterns, right? Like each human has their own pattern, their own personal makeup. It's that special connection that all of a sudden it's like you find it in sports at times, you find it in art and other cultural aspects where it's like you might not speak the same language, you might not share the same political beliefs, you might have different socioeconomic standards, but if you strike the chord, pun intended, that's where the true connection, and you can start taking off some of the blinders. And I just feel like those two in particular really, really lend themselves to getting excited about, because they're two artists that make such a huge impact, because you always remember like the first time you heard your first Trevor song.
Dude, I honestly do. It was 2000 and like I always have to be exact on years, and I think it's just because I have OCD, but it was like 2017. I had just relapsed, and I was at a coffee shop in Charlotte. Shouts out to Caribou Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to get my life back in order, man, and I just I don't know how you heard of Caribou? Mm-hmm. Nice. It's like there's like none of them anymore.
Yeah,
but
I don't know what happened, but
Old Faithful, man. I was there all the time, and I was just on YouTube, and I stumbled upon the chapter of the forest, and dude, my life was changed instantly. I was like, what the fuck? And a whole new sphere of consciousness just fucking boom. But yeah, real quick, I did look up the Bob Marley quote. So it looks like Ziggy Marley has a song, "Love Is My Religion."
Yep.
And then the Bob Marley quote, we obviously know, one good thing about music is when it hits you, you feel no pain.
yeah, straight up,
Yeah, man.
real talk.
Yeah, a lot of pain in our lives. A lot of us have different pain. It might look different on the surface, but I resonate to someone by their feeling, right? Because sometimes I'll judge somebody and be like, you know, you're addicted to weed, or like what is that, or like, you know, what are your problems? You grew up with a privileged childhood or whatever. And I'm getting heady now, but to put all that judgment aside and to now be able to recognize if you share the same pain that I've felt, then I can relate. It doesn't matter what it looks like on the surface, what, you know, your physical pain looked like, but it's just what you really deal with down low. And so with music, man, it's just that one thing it's always there. I always come back to it. Yeah, I mean, music, they should have a quote, music is my religion. That's your quote. There you go.
Hey, just chalk it up as one of those for the future. What do you remember? What song it was? Chapter of the Forest.
So actually, now that I remember it, backtracking, I was actually the first time I heard Trevor Hall. I was at Lake Tahoe, and I was detoxing, and I was with my friend Brian, and he actually played a song by Trevor Hall, and that's the first time I heard him. And the song is not really on any of his albums. It's literally just like a YouTube song from a long time ago. It's called, I don't want to say it wrong, Bharat. It's spelled Bharat, and I'm pretty sure it means in India. So I'm in the front seat of his Avalanche. We're driving through Lake Tahoe. I'm trying to enjoy the sights, but I'm withdrawing, dude. I'm suicidal. I'm feeling like shit. And he puts on this song, and dude, he just kept playing it. He just had it on repeat. He had an incense burning in an In-N-Out burger cup, and California vibes for sure. And then ever since then, I loved Trevor Hall. And then when I got home, I was at Caribou Coffee trying to get my life back in order, and I found Chapter of the Forest. And the first song that I loved was Jagadisha.
Oh, yeah.
First song on the album.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
Especially
man.
live.
Dude,
Like the live set from Charleston?
I've seen Trevor Hall 5 times, and he's only played Jagadisha once. And it's funny because the one time I've heard him play it was the first time I saw him, and it was the first song he played. And I've seen him 5 times.
Yeah.
I've seen him in Wilmington once, Asheville 4 times, and I've only heard Jagadisha once.
Wow.
But
That's a good one.
yeah, it rules.
Yeah. That album's filled with bangers, too. Like we were talking about before the podcast, when we synced in on the music tip. If anybody's listening out there, go and search Chapter of the Forest, Behind the Stories or Behind the Songs or something. He does these series about where he's interviewed. His wife's literally interviewing him, and
So cool.
he tells how the song came about, where it was written, what it was he was going through. And I'm trying to think of the song that he was describing. It may even be the title track, Chapter of the Forest.
Great song.
But he was talking about how there's this river in India. It's not the Ganges River, it's another river.
Okay.
But all of the sadhus and different people sit at the river and stare into the river all day. And the tradition behind that is that the river's spiritual power is that when you gaze upon it, it begins to burn your karma away. It begins to wash your sins away. And he's telling this story of like sitting there at this river and like having this experience. And like as he's describing it, he just starts weeping.
Damn.
And it was like, this is one of
In the
like,
video?
In the video, yeah.
Damn.
And then all of a sudden it's like you can like hear someone sniffling in the background, but it's his wife who's like shooting him having this existential moment, this moment of clarity, this moment of like, reflection. And then it's like he's like stop, like, and then she like comes from behind the camera and hugs him. So
Damn.
if anybody really wants to see some real Trevor Hall, I definitely highly suggest watching those videos. And those were the moments that I really fell in love with Trevor. I remember my mom put me on to Trevor Hall.
Damn, really?
Yeah, and she put me on to Trevor Hall through this song called "A Call" with what's the girl's name? Her name will come to me, but she sings a lot of the kirtan,
Okay.
Kundalini music. She's definitely on her own path now, maybe away from that music. But he had, my mom was like, you got to listen to this dude named Trevor Hall. And I was just sort of not listening. And then she sent me, he had just dropped the album Kala. And she was like, you have to listen to this album. He recorded it in Hawaii, and my family had a farm in Hawaii for several years, so there's definitely deep connections there. It's AKAL is the name of the song. A call.
AKA
Ajit, I think her name is Ajit Kaur. Her
Yeah,
dad's her dad's her stepdad is a famous psychologist that.
I don't think I know this one. Okay.
Oh, bro, that song is legendary. Like his verse, his cadence is Yeah, that's a worship. That's like a worship like type song. That's like where you go into that cave and you. Yeah. So mom gave me Kala, and I remember the first song I listened to was To Zion,
That's yeah.
and I was like, oh shit, like that voice, right? It's gritty, it's raspy, it's got so many textures of pain and pleasure and art and depth, and you know, you got to respect that. And yep,
Yeah.
that was my intro to him,
That's a pretty from mom.
straight from mom's.
Straight from the source.
Yeah, mom's was like,
From
well, mom gave me my love for music, so there's always a respect there. Like growing up, music wasn't a really big part of my life because none of my parents or my sister played the piano, but we weren't musicians. And not until I started growing up and having chores and despising them, and my mom was just said to me, turn on music. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I remember she gave me like CNC Music Factory, Taylor Dane, Lisa Stansfield. I think even Milli Vanilli was kicking ass at that point. And we would just turn the stereo on full blast and vacuum and do the dishes. And so it is appropriate for mom to give me Trevor Hall. And also, just on the flip side, I gave mom Mac Miller.
full circle.
And it was the album Circles that I gave mom. Straight up.
Dude.
Like, straight up, dude. Like, I literally remember when that album came out, I was probably in one of the deepest, darkest holes, and self-willingly. It was the first time I was like, you know what, fuck it. Shit's dark. I'm on this shit. I'm okay with it. I'm embracing it. I'm not going to do anything stupid, but I'm not going to try to get out of it. And right when I had reached that point in my life is when Mac Miller reached me. Because, you know, growing up, and I grew up as like the only white dude in the hood, you know, grew up hip-hop music and all of that stuff. So
Boom bap.
I never gave Mac a chance early on because I'm like, you know, frat rap, fucking drunk, high
Right.
rappers. You know, I was on that Jay-Z, Lil Wayne mixtape era.
Which
Was classic.
By the way,
Yeah,
okay.
Legendary,
Hold on.
to say the least. But I never gave Mac the shot. And not until right before COVID, I ended up stumbling onto his Tiny Desk. And I remember what struck me about him was his vulnerability and his awkwardness. He was real awkward. Like, I'm like, this dude's a performer, and like, he's like, doesn't want to talk, but then he's like making these little witty remarks. And then the music was so inspiring, right? It was that whole Swimming album, which I hadn't heard at that time. And so I'm like, wait, this dude's like singing this shit, but rapping it. His swagger and style was so clean and crisp, like that Don't Trip brown hat and the white tee he had on with that like pointer finger, yellow, emerald, diamond, gold ring. Like the shit, he was just fucking fly.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, I got lost in that. But I was riding home, so I'm on my Mac Miller tip, which started with the Tiny Desk and then went to Divine Feminine. So I went straight to where he was in that transition into the love.
Exactly.
And then Swimming. And then I'm riding home. At this point, I'm in the darkness. I had checked out from life, got an entry-level job being a part-time baker at a food co-op. You know, I think I had a mullet tail thing going on. I was riding my bike everywhere and just drinking beer. Like, I literally would just fill my backpack with brews and go to this park with my Bluetooth speaker and listen to Mac Miller. And I was on my bike riding, listening to Mac Miller, and all of a sudden, like, the algorithm kicked me into Circles, which had came out that day.
Okay.
Into the Circle song. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
like, hit the brakes. Like, what the fuck? How did I miss this? Look, see that it's a whole album. See that it had came out that day.
Yeah.
And I remember the first thing I thought, because I also had like a couple bottles of sake in my bag too, because mom and I used to drink sake at the time together. I said, man, I can't wait to get home and show mom this. And I listened to it all the way home. Got home, cracked the bottles of sake with mom, lit the candles, and introduced her to Mac Miller. And
Yeah.
it was like, you know, we're even.
That's a good, that's a good barter system there.
We're even.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to touch on a couple things you said.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I looked up a call, the song your mom showed you.
Yeah.
And the first line of that song is "Mother, I feel you under my feet," which is kind of crazy. Yeah, and then what was the other thing? Tiny Desk, so Tiny Desk came out. It says YouTube released it August 8th of 2018. He died less than a month later on September 7th. So, dude, I mean, they must have recorded Tiny Desk probably in the first week of August. They recorded that a month before he died. And I don't know, man. It's just there has to be a meaning to all of this, man. It might be like just music, but this is why I keep coming back to Trevor Hall too, first of all, and then Mac Miller. But you know, the first time I heard of Trevor Hall, I was in a very dark place, one of the darkest places, and at that time, I was totally ego deflated. I had nothing left in the tank, and he lifted me up. And then you fast forward to the pandemic, 2020, when I wasn't looking at my spiritual life. I wasn't practicing spiritual principles in all of my affairs or anything like this. And during those times when I'm not in my true self, I don't listen to this music, man. I just don't. I listen to like angry, fuck you type music. But then we're 4 years after the pandemic now. I'm back to my true nature, true self, whatever you want to call it. And I blast Trevor Hall again now. So the reason why I always come back to it is because it's a representation of my true self. My true self isn't, I don't even know what artist I was listening to in 2020, but like, it's just, it's a metaphor of my true self. And like, I know that it's meant for me to be here today and to talk about these people, because that's where my real lifeblood is. My lifeblood isn't being angry and, posting hate stuff on Instagram and whatever I was listening to, whatever conspiracy podcast I was listening to at the time, which I still like to listen to sometimes, but it's just, yeah, man, like, one of the lines that I like by Trevor Hall too, it's the Strength in One song with Dirtwire. He says, "People, don't forget your own true nature. Look inside and meet your maker." I mean, there's just so many one-liners that I can talk about. I could talk about that line for fucking 20 minutes, but I'm not going to. It's just, yeah, man, like it's just a real, like, that's where my real life is, in these people, because it's like love and just, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I know that I'm meant to listen to these people and not fucking whoever people I was listening to before. So it's kind of a tangent, kind of hard to put it into words. And then Mac Miller too, man. Like, I started listening to Mac Miller young. I first saw Mac Miller when I was 18. I had just turned 18 in November. I saw him in November of 2010, and that's when he was on his frat rap. Kids just came out, and I remember seeing him when I used to live in Wilmington. Totally blackout. I don't remember the concert. But that's where I was in my life. At that time, I was living in a fraternity house, playing frat rap, going to parties, doing keg stands, literally like that lifestyle. And then I fucking dropped out of college. I found my drug of choice. I moved back to Charlotte. I had nowhere to go. I moved back in with my mom. And at that same time, that was after he dropped the Blue Slide Park album. And then he kind of had an ego death in himself, and he got addicted to lean. He dropped the Macadelic album. So a lot of like psychedelics were in play too. And that was the same time that I was in a pit and I was getting into harder stuff. And then for years, it was Macadelic, and then like watching movies with the sound off, talking about like wanting to die and all these dark things. I mean, those albums are so fucking good to me, man. And then Good AM came out in 2015 or 16 or whatever, and that's when I got into recovery. And that's when he was hanging out with Rick Rubin, and Rick Rubin taught him transcendental meditation at his house in Malibu. There's a fucking episode on HBO of that. Have you seen that Rick Rubin show?
Yeah.
There's
I've
an
seen
episode
clips.
of Mac Miller at his house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when Mac got into recovery, and you know, he had that song Godspeed where he's talking about, you know, trying not to overdose and man up and know that he has a problem with drugs and using. And so like it's just been the same trajectory for both of us, man. And then when he came out with Swimming, which is my favorite Mac Miller album of all time, but I don't want to discredit Faces because that came out in 2014 in the pits of all the darkness too. I did listen to that album today at the Y, but Swimming is my favorite Mac Miller album of all time. And it just represents so much his maturity, his growth in his music. It's not the same person that was playing Party on Fifth Ave. It is a mature, grown person, and I can't fucking imagine the quarantine music we would have gotten from this guy, man. I mean, just a genius. I mean, people who don't really know this, like, the kid had piano lessons when he was 10 years old. He's a multi-talented musician, producer. He does samples. I mean, he has different monikers: Larry Fisherman, Larry Lovestein, fucking Delusional Thomas, crazy delusional person. That's the drug version of him. But just so many different senses of self. God, man, I wish we could have kept going with his stuff. But Swimming, Circles, I mean, just unreal. So,
Yeah, definitely was hitting his stride with Circles, playing every instrument on that.
Yeah,
John
man.
Bryan producing that, providing him the confidence and freedom to express himself. It's interesting, right? You think of someone as talented as him, just being a talented human, right? Like, he could light up a room with his dialogue. He could, you know, be the...
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah,
Dude, he
he's a
cracked
jester.
jokes. He
Yeah.
was on SNL. He was funny. Yeah, man. You know, but the funniest people sometimes are the most fucked up, the most depressed. You know, look at Robin Williams and Chris Farley and, you know, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, yeah, shit, man. Some of the greatest comedians. Not to, you know, but yeah.
I guess because you make choices, and sometimes those choices will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
He made a mistake, right? Like,
Yeah.
he made a mistake, and it killed him. And that's like also a lesson to learn in our own lives. Like, what are these things, these habits, these people, this music, these different things that we have going on that has the potential to take us out before our time has come. And I think about that all the time. And especially with you know, Mac as an example of like the big what if.
Well, and you know, so there was this interview that he had. I'm pretty sure it was his last interview. He's wearing a blue hat. He's in a blue studio.
Zane Lowe.
What is it?
It's the Zane Lowe interview.
Okay.
With, yeah.
This is Zane Lowe.
I think his name's Zane Lowe. Yeah.
Dude, man. And so like this is where I get a little bit upset because, man, like, yes, he did rap about a lot of his demons and he did admit to having a problem. There's a short 15-minute documentary on YouTube called Stop Making Excuses. Have you seen that one? Yeah. So, but this last interview that he ever did, man, I remember he kind of deflected the question of having a problem. And this is where like I get into like program of recovery. I feel like if he would have just like admitted that, you know, he needed help or whatever, because I don't think he ever really got the help he needed. Yeah, he kicked it with Rick Rubin, and I don't know what they talked about. They probably got into a lot of deep conversations, and he learned about transcendental meditation. But, you know, he basically said that he would always be high, whether it was just weed or whatever. So I don't feel like he ever really wanted to stop. And so that's just where like the program in me kicks in, and it's just like, we can only carry the message. We can't carry the addict in themselves. So, I'm sure someone carried the message to him before he died, but you can't carry the addict. They have to be ready and willing themselves, man. So, and, I hate that people love you more when you're dead too. That kind of pisses me off, to be honest. 'Cause I've always fucking loved him. And, people like, I don't want to say names, but family members of mine, they just don't really get it, man. They say he sounded like George Washington with wooden teeth, and like you people like that, though, I call these people Philistines, and this is where I try not to judge as much, but like don't have a really good taste, right? Like thinking like the new Netflix series is like the best show ever, or like, these are my own opinions. I'm sorry, like this is my podcast, but like, if you think Friends is better than fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld, like it's just, that's where we disagree. So I don't know, man. Yeah, just it's deeper than just the music, man. I don't know. I try not to get too judgy about it.
Well,
but
I mean, to each his own. And I think you hit on the point. And there is somewhere on the internet archives of all of Terrence McKenna's talks. He talks about taste and about your life taking the path of your taste. And, whether it's a refined or evolved taste in music or literature or food, everybody has their own taste. And that's one thing, too, that you can't really, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink moment, is with music. And if the music doesn't strike a chord with people yet, Y-E-T, I always throw that in there because I think that can help take out the judgment. It's like, all right, they're not there yet. Because you can always hope for someone to get to a point where they can appreciate something that you do. Yet everything's frequency, everything's energy, including Mac, right? We're also disappointed in him, in the choices that he made. There's a level of that too. It's like, damn, bro, you make one choice one night and it's over for you before you even took your first stride, right? I feel like that was the biggest thing with Mac, was like he had literally just stepped into. He tells that story too, where in Divine Feminine, when Kendrick Lamar did that verse for him, or not verse, did that hook for him, and he had the conversation with Kendrick, and Kendrick's like, dude, you need to start singing. Like, either you're going to do it or I'm going to do it, and then you're not going to be able to do it because then everybody's going to say that you're copying what I'm doing. So you probably should start doing it.
That's good advice.
Yeah, and I feel like he, in Divine Feminine, started to embrace that. Swimming a little bit more, but Circles was when he was stepping into the power of becoming, a stadium artist in the sense of a Bob Marley or somebody like that. And I guess that as a fan of his art form and the evolution of his art form, which his body of work is prolific, right? You just look at it and it's a full spectrum of someone whose life is constantly evolving. And I give him props for that. Like, he did evolve. Did he relapse? Most definitely. But he was evolving. You can just see it through his music.
He was still evolving. He had it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 7 steps forward. He was
dancing with
5.
life, bro.
He was
That's the fucking dance.
Yeah.
I mean, the myth is that you continue to take 2 steps forward and 2 steps forward and 2 steps forward. I guess the real question is, when you fall on your fucking face, are you going to get back up? Wipe yourself off?
Dude, he has so much music in his archive, man. 6 studio albums, fucking 13 mixtapes. I mean, that's he was doing music. So let's think about this. So he first started probably 2009, 2010. His first independent album dropped, Kids, 2010, and then he died in 20. We said it, 18.
18.
Dude, 8 years, and this guy had 13 mixtapes, 6 albums, 2 EPs, 2 live albums, 44 singles, 63 music videos. Is addicted to the grind, dude. I mean,
He loved what he did.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what made him so special, as you could see, even like the production aspect of it. Like when he met Vince Staples, and he's like, bro, I got beats all day.
All day.
I'm going to come pick you up from your spot, and you're gonna rap on my beats, because right now no one else is.
Well, dude, yeah. And he would go to a record store. There's videos. He'd go to a record store, pick up a random fucking jazz or blues album, and then fucking make a sample out of it. That's talent. Like, to me, like, we're talking, right? And like most rappers, this is what they do. They just talk and they make time rhyme with rhyme or fine or dime. But talking is one thing, right? It's a beautiful thing, the English language, all languages. I'm not discounting any of that. But to be able to like do things instrumentally and musically with your hands and with your mind and with computers, and just, it's a different level. Like, I'm sorry, but like, I don't know, who are a bunch of like Macklemore, I don't know, man. Like, there's just no, I always compare, but I don't feel bad for it either. I think you got to give credit where it's due. And so
I was just hoping that
Macklemore.
hey man, shots out.
No, I mean the
Shouts
thrift
out.
shop song goes. It goes.
The fact that he even had the courage to put that shit out there.
No, and he's actually cool because he's doing the whole thing with people in recovery, and he's got the cause he's sober too, and he's got a couple songs about that. But I don't know. I'm just thinking of other white rappers and Macklemore, Mac Miller. They kind of both sound alike.
I think it sucks that we have to judge people by their color when it comes to hip hop and rap. It's like, I get it that it didn't, where the culture originated from, and respect to all those pioneers. Yeah, also like, either you're making music that makes people feel a certain way, or you're not, regardless of what the color was. I mean, I heard that even like Jay-Z said something like Mac was one of his favorite people to listen to.
Yeah, Mac had the thing in his house. It was a tweet. He framed it and made a huge picture, and it said, I can tell you right now what it said. But yeah, the Jay-Z tweet.
What's up with you and all these tsunami waves, bro?
Where do you see that?
That's on your screensaver.
Oh,
You
dude,
got
I don't
the-
even it's just naturally. I'm a water sign.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
I'm
like
a
what? What sign?
Scorpio.
Okay, I'm
and
a
then
Pisces.
my name is that means the ocean.
Yeah, Kai.
So
and do you know your name is the same name as Trevor Hall's son?
I do. However, I looked into it. His son is actually named Kailash, which is the mountain in.
Yeah.
It's the Shiva mountain in India or
Yeah.
Tibet. But yeah, he calls him Kai.
Yeah.
But his is actually Kailash, which is like the mountain.
Yeah, and you're the Japanese Kai.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I am Japanese. Oh,
I am
hello.
Japanese Kai.
Okay, his tweet said, "Too many, Fab. Black people really magic. Mac Miller nice too though." And so he like framed it and put it in his house.
I like his last tweet. Something like, "Be yourself. You'll be just fine," or something.
Well, I do like, so not to go off on all his quotes and tweets, but
Why not?
True, fuck it. His he does have a quote. You were talking about like race in the hip hop game
Yeah.
and stuff, and he says it's in "Here We Go," which top 5 Mac Miller songs for mine. If I ain't in your top 10, you a racist. Just straight up says that. Yeah, there's a lot of tweets though. When you type in last tweet, it's like, so I always remembered this tweet. It was the end of "So It Goes" is so beautiful, man. I told John Bryan to play the Ascension into Heaven, and he nailed it. And that was on the day he died. Do you know that? It was tweeted September 7th, 2018. Yeah, man.
And he died earlier that night.
So this was tweeted at 1 a.m. on September 7th.
Damn.
He died overnight. So he literally, I'm pretty sure that's probably his last. Like, that's.
Yeah.
So "So It Goes" is the last song on Swimming, and I can't get enough of it. It's such a good song, and he literally told John Bryan to play the Ascension into Heaven, and he nailed it. I mean, dude, that's just, come on.
Yeah. Let's go back to this wave though. Like, you got tsunamis. Do you have dreams about big waves like that coming
No,
towards
I'm
you or
kind of
chasing?
scared, honestly, of waves. I had to get rescued once in the ocean. We got ripped out, far out, and It was me and my 3 friends. It was 2 girls, 2 guys, and we had to get fucking rescued, and it was embarrassing, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid of the ocean. I think it's a good.
It just kept taking you further and further out.
So, like, if I'm being honest, I would have been fine. I would have been able to make it back struggling. But this girl I was with was kicking and screaming and crying. I mean, it was gnarly out there. So I'm trying to, like, rescue her and do, like, the lifeguard shit where, like, you put their back on your belly and you, like, but she was just flailing, dude. And so I was like, I'm either going to die trying to help her, or she's going to die, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, 2 lifeguards showed up and dragged us in. But I would have been fine, honestly. Like, I would have made it. I would have been struggling. But I'm sitting here trying to help this girl. And, yeah. So, I don't know. I'm kind of afraid of the ocean since that. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that into astrology and, like, I mean, I could see, I get it. I get the appeal. Like Scorpio and, like, my rising sign is, like, Capricorn, and they say I'm best to be with, like, a Scorpio or a Capricorn or whatever the fuck. But it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you're a Virgo. You should go for it because you're a Virgo. It's like everyone should go for it. So I don't know. That's just where I get kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting how certain astrology points, if you read your horoscope or something, make sense. I definitely believe at a deeper level and a more ancient level, there's definitely energetic connections and things that make sense. I guess for the wave perspective, I was just curious because I have a lot of dreams about tsunamis and floods and stuff. And so when we went through what we went through, it was like, huh. Well, I was just curious if you had any premonitions or anything.
No, so this was actually my screensaver was, or not screensaver, Google, whatever this is. This was automatic. I didn't choose this.
That's what came out today?
No, it's just forever. Like, this has just been, whenever I made a Google account on this new laptop 2 years ago, this was what they gave me.
Oh, okay. Standard issue. Yeah.
Standard issue, stock. Is there a meaning to that? I don't know. The algorithm, maybe. It always comes back to the algo.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Something to look into, I guess. Yeah, I was going to say something about that. Oh, yeah. So, like you said, the ancient. You used the word ancient. And I do know I've heard this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they said that the ancient Egyptians who built the pyramids used to use astrology.
Are you sure the aliens didn't build the pyramids?
Dude, we can get into that.
No, like, part of my bad taste, like, you know, when you eat junk food, like, you got your favorite junk food, mine being Sour Patch Kids.
Those are good.
And with all due respect to all the homies that make the show or whatever, shots out to you.
You like the gummy, like the weed one?
No, the real, like, real candy.
Sober podcast.
Well, I mean, sometimes.
It doesn't matter.
The Ancient Aliens show. It's like,
oh, yeah.
They give you
that
all
guy
of
with the
these.
hair.
Yeah, dude, he's intense. But they give you all these, like, really interesting facts that have not been explained, but then it's always tied back to the aliens. It's like the aliens did it.
Aliens.
But I think that's a disservice to humanity because here we have this building like the pyramids, and whether it was built 10,500 years ago or 30,000 years ago or 4,500, if it was Khufu who built it or whoever, we still, Khufu I think was the pharaoh at the time.
Okay.
He has I think it's called a sartouche, like it's like a symbol that they found in one of the chambers in the upper level of the pyramid that is the reason why they call it Khufu's pyramid.
Is that why he wore FUBU?
Bufu?
FUBU?
Buy us, fuck you. Yeah. One of the most classic lines ever in How High. It's like, Bufu. He's like, buy us, fuck you. It's like, dude, great.
Yeah,
That
I just
movie
love
was
comedy.
incredible. I used to get drunk and watch that movie every fucking night.
Yeah, that guy. His name was I Need Money. That was his
Oh
fucking
shit! I need money. That is funny.
cash only, no change.
Yep. We digress.
Yeah, dude.
Ancient aliens. We digressed. Then ancient people, pyramids. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I do know that I don't like when people call people aliens. That kind of pisses me off. That's a new thing.
Like the whole migrant people.
Yeah, like, as I come into my true self, as I've said these last 4 years, and I'm learning to love others, and thanks to people like Trevor Hall for leading walking me on the path, whatever, leading the way, I find that things bother me now that used to not bother me. Like, when I used to hear them call it illegal
What's the
alien.
definition of an alien?
That's a good fucking question,
Let's start
dude.
there. Not that the Webster's dictionary is God, but let's just
Belonging to a foreign country or nation.
yeah,
A foreigner. Okay, so I mean,
a foreigner.
but but that's the thing.
It means other. Like for what you're saying is like it means something other or lower than
Yeah, non-native.
Yeah.
Foreign. I mean, okay, so whatever. Tomato, but yeah, dude, a person from Venezuela isn't a fucking alien. He's a person from Venezuela. Like, you can call him an immigrant.
Yeah.
You can call him a foreign national. But what is he, an extraterrestrial? Like, fuck, it's crazy. I don't know. I digress.
Well, I mean, it's also we're talking when you talk about nations and states, for the most part, you're talking about corporate entities. So these people that are coming in to the corporation unannounced or in ways that are not part of the agreement that we all made as Americans, and then you don't have the systems in place to actually respect that person's humanity enough to understand who they are and why they're here. I think you can tend to dehumanize and also categorize people into these words. And
These words?
These words. I mean, yeah, and they're loaded. I mean, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. The whole
Yeah. If they're not backed by BlackRock, then they don't. If there's no central bank in Cuba, then they're not a person, apparently. And I talk about conspiracies, but yeah, no, like the whole thing with the only countries we haven't gone to war with are the ones that don't have a U.S. central bank there. Have you heard of this?
Mm-mm.
It's like Cuba, North Korea, and then is it Saudi Arabia? No, not Saudi Arabia. They fucking did 9/11. There's another country in the Middle East, but it's actually a true thing, but it doesn't mean what people think it means.
Yeah.
So like, we don't have a Federal Reserve in Cuba, in North Korea, and then in like Pakistan, whatever, one of the other countries in the Middle East. So they say that those are the countries that we're going to invade next. We went to Afghanistan to establish a central bank there, but we don't need to get into all that. It was just, I don't know. I like to get into whatever though. So
No, I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that maybe why we're not in North Korea is because those motherfuckers don't play.
Yeah.
Why fuck with someone that has nothing to lose,
Literally nothing to lose.
right? So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure everything is economic. Everything, follow the money trail.
Mm-hmm.
Even with this disaster that we're going through, like, what I realized is that this disaster relief shit is a big time business,
Oh, we can talk about that. I could definitely talk about that.
right? Talk about that, man. Talk about the type of money that was raised, the different organizations, people pulling up with showers and trucks. And I heard that there's a dishwasher for FEMA. So there's like and no disrespect to FEMA, and I think that they've gotten a bad rap through this situation because nobody knew what the fuck was going to happen unless
No.
unless then you go back to the 1996 paper from the US Navy about weather control as a weapon, and we could go down that route. But let's just say nobody really had a fucking clue of what really was about to go down. You know, could people have been here sooner to help? Yes, but also everybody else that was not dead, that had a pulse and a heart, were here.
Yeah.
They were helping out.
Well, yeah.
But back to the FEMA shit. I was talking to a friend the other day who said that he's housing 89 chefs and staff that cook for the FEMA people. And there's a dishwasher on the staff that's making $2,000 a week.
As there should be.
I mean, I'm
did
not
you-
going to knock your hustle, but I'm just saying if that dude's making, or
Well,
woman
okay,
is
that's a lot
making
of money.
$2,000 a week,
Oh, a week?
$2,000
I'm
a
thinking
week.
of pay period. Okay.
No. He's making $8,000 a month washing dishes.
Okay, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So then
It's like
what
100
is?
grand a year.
He's the dishwasher.
Okay.
What does the chef make?
Right.
Then what does the company that's hiring the chef make?
Right.
What do those contracts look like? Who's
Yeah.
getting those contracts? How effective are those contracts? Then we get into, we start towing the line of military industrial complexes, disaster relief.
Well, there's money in disaster and there's money in war.
Well, especially now because of where we're stepping into as a planet, whether you call it global warming or man-made disasters for control. It's almost like we've sucked so much energy and resources out of like the fighting aspect, like the military industrial complex, that now the next thing is like, okay, disaster relief. Like
Yeah.
the military industrial complex is now going to be the disaster relief complex.
Well, yeah. I mean, so shout out to our neighbors. I don't want to say everybody's name on here and dox people, but the couple who own the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Dude, she kind of educated me a little bit about like global warming and like how it works and like burning fossil fuels and whatever. So like, again,
But what if it's
I-
not that? What if it's global warming because we're in a mathematical alignment with the center of the galaxy that creates some sort of gravity waves that then heat up the planet? However you try to spin it, whether you're spinning it from the carbon side, whether you're spinning it from the alien side, the shit is real. There's things changing on this planet, and you can look at the Iceland core samples, right, and see these fluctuations in temperature and stuff, right? If you really want to tap into,
Never heard of this before.
cataclysmic science right now, right? You go to Randall Carlson, Graham Hancock, the Younger Dryas, but our planet has continuously gotten warmer and colder through its life cycle. And some of that has to do with gravity, some of that has to do with magnetism, some of that has to do with solar flares, some of that has to do with celestial impacts, whether they're comets or asteroids, and definitely probably how humanity, I mean, the very fact that you can walk down the street and the street that has trees is cooler than the street that doesn't,
that's true.
and we're constantly cutting down forests
Yeah.
and trees. So however it is, whatever it is, man is making an impact based on our decisions. And we are also in exceptional times, so much so that a culture like the Mayans, in their infinite wisdom, can predict that the period between 2000 and 2080, or whether it's 2012 and 2080, is a period of complete shifting. Most people called it the end. 2012 was the end of the world in the Mayan calendar. That was just the end of a cycle,
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of this.
right? So maybe we are in this cycle of Earth shifts, polar shifts, however it could happen, but things are shifting to the point where we can be in the mountains and get slaughtered by a hurricane.
Which is crazy, by the way.
That is it.
A hurricane in the mountains. The
Yeah,
highest elevation on the East Coast.
Straight up, like the when I moved here, I was told that this is the safest place in America, at least, if not the world.
Well, Burnsville has Mount Mitchell, which is the highest mountain east of the Mississippi. Burnsville got hit one of the hardest. So I don't know what that means. I thought hurricanes were for low elevation places with oceans, but apparently rivers can flood and fuck up towns that are 3,000 feet in elevation. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know enough about
core samples and global warming enough. This is actually something that I'm starting to appreciate now. Like I used to not really give a fuck about like little things like recycling and like trees really even. But now, I mean, I'm not going to go out and be a fucking tree hugger, but like I'm going to try to do my part now a little bit more. I
What's
mean,
wrong with hugging trees?
I don't know. I'm just not there yet. Hey, maybe next year I'll be there, you know?
Hey, dude, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I hugged a couple trees one time and didn't realize they had the big fucking poison ivy veins.
Yeah, dude.
That
Just
shit
walk
sucked.
outside on grass barefoot. Don't you feel better? Like I haven't tried that yet.
I mean, it's a start. It's a start. It's better than walking on glass in your room because you're smoked out and you fucking, you know, like shit, you got to take the step.
It's grounding.
It is
It's
grounding.
grounding. The elevator's broken, so we're taking the steps, boys.
Well, the steps work
right.
better anyways.
Well, I guess any other final last words or thoughts?
I don't know, man. We kind of got lost on that last part.
I'm fine with it.
But I you know, I guess my last thought is, trust the fact that life knows better than you do. Trust the fact that, you know, 5 weeks ago, I never thought that I'd be sitting in my studio, showroom, home, having a podcast with someone that I might have seen at some yoga classes. Maybe we cross paths there.
Hot yoga.
Hot yoga,
Shouts out.
definitely. Hot yoga, try it. Do it. Yeah, trust life. Trust life to put you in the situations that are going to give you the opportunity to make a different choice.
Trust life. That's a good way to close.
Trust life. For life. Pun intended.
Pro life? No.
No, for. F-O-R.
I know.
For life.
It's a comedy podcast.
Yeah,
ladies
it
and
is a fucking comedy podcast, but don't get me started on that shit.
Yeah.
I have my own opinions
I
about
know.
that shit.
Well, I
But
do
I'm
too.
for life. Like that
Yeah,
that's
no.
like the biggest pun you can be. Like if I'm your friend, it's a for life. It's forever. But it's also for the life enhancement. You know, words are fun like that. Play
Oh,
with
yeah.
them. Play with words, not yourself. But then play with yourself too. That helps. We probably would be a better world if more people
Hey, dude,
were
I'm
playing
trying to
with
do No
themselves.
Nut November right now. You're telling me to play with myself on November 2nd?
No Nut November. That's a good one.
Right.
Semen retention. Have you done the science on that?
Mm-hmm.
I got some good books for that.
Yeah, that's some good shit, dude.
What's his name? Maytak Chia?
Oh, I don't know.
M-A-T. Oh, dude, you've never watched any of his shit?
No,
On
I'm-
like London Real?
I'm fresh off the fucking...
Dude, you gotta watch. It's M-A-T-A-K Matek Chia. And his shit's all about sexual energy. He's been interviewed by everybody, but this dude is fucking hilarious, dude.
I can't
yeah,
find it. Spell it.
M-A-T-A-K-A. Wait, K. No, K. Matek Chia. Yeah, see it?
Oh, this guy?
No, Chia.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That dude. Bro,
get
watch
down
his
with this.
London Real podcast.
Okay, he's a Taoist master. Thailand. Okay.
Yeah, he's all about sexual energy, both on the male and the female side. He's got that famous book about the male multi orgasm.
No, there's some truth to this no-fap semen retention shit,
Oh
man.
yeah, well I mean shit, you have literally in a batch of cum, you have the entire planet.
Life energy.
Like no, you have like a billion, like 9 or 10 billion possible chances for life, semen. So you literally have the population of the world coming out of you.
That's going to give me some focus on to no-fap today, dude. It's only 2 days in.
Yeah, I mean, bless you for that, my friend.
Yeah, man. No, and
Good luck on that.
thank you. Yeah. For the record, too, I am pro-abortion, by the way. I think that having the stance on a person mattering so much before they leave the womb, and then the second they're born, it's fuck you, get health care, got to do your own thing, no one cares about you. It's, I don't know. I'm not down with that shit. So, you know, tried to take the religious stance on that a few years ago, but I don't see that's the craziest thing to me. And is it killing a baby? Is it not? I don't even really yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know where that was, but, all right, guys.
What a way to end.
I mean, dude.
Semen retention and pro-choice or whatever the fuck choice you want to make.
Hey, man.
Choose not to hurt anybody in your process. I guess that's the biggest choice. Do what the fuck you want to do when you want to do it, as long as it doesn't infringe on other people reaching their purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's just a real common sense thing. Stop telling people what the fuck to do, what the fuck to think, what you can put in your body. If you want to go out there and bang some fucking lines, or you want to go out there and spray your cum in some random person, there's consequences to these things.
There are.
Right? And, you know, you got to make the best choice you can at the time. I also think too, like this was I got slapped with this by one of my mentors this morning at breakfast. 4 agreements, right? Yeah. Don't take things personal. Don't have expectations. And honestly, you have to meet people where they are. You have no idea what this person is going through, that has different belief sets than you, that acts in a way that offends you. Like, you don't know this person's lens and what it took to create that lens. They're just looking through a lens. So meet people where they are, and meet yourself where you are. That's the big thing. I think the most of our judgment comes from the fact that we judge ourselves.
Yeah, I think we just need to give ourselves a break, give everybody a break. We're all just doing the best we can. And
which is not an excuse, it's a reality. If a motherfucker's an asshole, they're an asshole for a reason.
That's true.
And that's where they are. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, doesn't mean you have to respect them. It also doesn't mean you don't have to arrest their ass or whip their ass. If you're being an asshole, I'm going to meet you where you're at. But the moment you cross that line and try to eat me on Halloween, I'm going to fucking slap the taste out of your mouth.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it doesn't excuse shitty behavior, meeting someone where they're at, or giving people permission to feel their feelings. But yeah, just don't be a piece of shit. That's kind of what religion is about, right? Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, it's the golden rule.
Yeah.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Mm-hmm. It's literally, people miss the whole Jesus equation that he gave us when he talked about these type of things. He said, yeah, love your neighbor, but the key point of that dialogue was as yourself. So start with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I talk to anybody the way that I talk to myself, or if anybody talked to me rather the way I talk to myself, I'd fucking commit homicide, dude. I talk to myself so negative. And one of my best friends taught me to try to talk to yourself like you would like to a loving like baby. You know, and that's hard.
That's some straight Buddha shit right there.
Yeah, man. I don't know. There's some truth to that.
It is what it is. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. If you can't respect yourself, and I deal with that. That is the work. That is the life. Mm-hmm. You talk. We started this thing talking about universal religions. There's only one truth, and the truth is inside of you. The truth of the matter is, regardless of what you believe or don't believe, something created you. And that something must be on such a higher level that you can get lost in the fact that you are it. Pun intended. Like, you are it. This is your life. This is your chance to do something creative with it. Mm-hmm. Because nobody knows I don't give a fuck who you think you are, mm-hmm. or what you're smoking or not smoking. No one knows.
No, we're all just going through the motions, dude.
No one knows. So if it is a YOLO thing, why not make more beauty? Why not make more people laugh? Why not have some fun, do some drugs, have some sex, make some babies, but also be willing to stand up to the consequences of your actions, because we do live in cause and effect. Mm-hmm. You do this happens. You do that happens. But it doesn't make it right or wrong. and even like just in the whole recovery thing too, is like the one big issue that I always had with the recovery movement, is when I sat down with this priest. I was going through a rough time. I was just like a party kid, so I was always at the nightclubs and fucking popping bottles and doing all that crazy shit. That was like my therapy. So I go to this guy, this priest, who's like in this whole AA movement and everything, and he's like telling me, he's like, you're always gonna be an alcoholic or an addict. And it was like, wait, huh? And then like you're starting every meeting reaffirming that with your name, like, hi, I'm Ben, I'm an alcoholic, or hi, I'm Ben, I'm a heroin addict, or hi, I'm Ben, I'm a sex addict. Like the most powerful statement in the universe, supposedly from masters of many religions, is I am.
Yeah.
It's the most creative statement you can have. So I respect the fact of acknowledging what you've been through, but also like it shouldn't define you forever.
No, and that guy didn't know who you are. He didn't know if you were an alcoholic or not. I mean, no one can tell you what you are or what to do, and only you can answer that question. That's why I've been in and out of the program for so many years. But I always come back, and I plan on staying because for me, it works more than anything else I've ever tried. And I've tried God knows fucking every other thing. But only I can concede if I'm an alcoholic or an addict. If there's some motherfucker saying you're this and point, we don't use the word you in meetings. We use I and my and me. So anyone who ever fucking says you or, you should, dude, they'll should me right the fuck out that door. It's happened before. So no, I mean,
I just also, even if you're affirming it as I or my, if that's where you're at right now, great. And I think and feel that you're not that forever, no matter if you're going to meetings or not. And I think that also the power of that movement is coming together as human beings and acknowledging your experience in community and having the trust and the respect for each other to be able to express where you are, where you were, or where you want to go.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that when we share in meetings, we never say you or you can only really speak on your own experience. So it's never appropriate to say like, you should do this. All we do is say like what I've done or in my experience, but it is a we program. Like, for example, there's 12 steps.
What, they got weed there? You said it's a weed program?
It's a Cali sober program, yeah.
Cali sober? I mean, like,
no,
yeah.
it's a we program. So there's 12 steps in the program that I work, and before each 11 steps, not the 12th step, but 1 through 11, the first word is we.
Yeah.
We admitted, we came to believe, we made a decision, blah blah blah. So it's we.
Yeah.
It's a we program. It can be a weed program if you want to go to Cali. They do it out there, big time. But
when you hit step 12, is that when you get like your 33-degree Mason?
Yeah, you get to
you get like they open up the Bohemian Grove, and you get to go do the owl robe thing.
You get to go to Bohemian Grove. You get to fuck a newcomer, and then you're cured.
Great.
I was an addict for 10 years. Now I'm not. That kind of shit. So
good.
Well,
shouts out to everybody that's choosing that path, and obviously it's made a difference in your life. So.
Yeah, and it's not perfect. The program is not fucking perfect because we're not governed by anyone else. It's a self-governing, society. We collect our own dues. We pay our own rent. We make our own, rules.
I thought you were gonna say we collect our own piss.
We could if you go to a meeting with a van. You're in rehab, and they'll fucking ask you if you can pee, and that's when I've left.
That's when you need that synthetic piss on the side of your leg.
I've left a halfway house or two because I got asked to pee and I was like, nope, and I
Yeah.
bounced. So, yeah, dude. A lot of stories from those days.
Oh,
Can
shit.
you pee? Not right now.
Not today.
So
Not today. It might burn.
the classic. Yeah, literally.
Can you say this? That an excuse? I can't piss today, man. It might burn, man.
I
It
mean,
was a rough
that's
night
actually
last
a pretty
night.
good.
It was a rough night, man. I might have that Ghana.
Yeah, the famous 3 words. Can you pee?
Yeah, not today.
Not today, Chief.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
Great.
So that's it, man. I guess that's a wrap. Appreciate you checking in. All right. Later, guys.
Peace.